Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Oh, here we go. I am in Beijing, about 6:45 a.m. and I'm just gonna take a walk around, see what we can find. Look for some old traditional Beijing neighborhoods, some hutong, and see what life looks like back there. We can also see how it compares to the old style traditional neighborhoods that I showed you in Guangdong and Shenzhen. If you remember my video of the handshake buildings, the urban villages, well, today we've got pretty much the equivalent of an urban village from Guangdong, but in Beijing, northern China. So let's give it a go. I am currently in the Dongcheng district of Beijing, in the Dongsi sub-district, Dongsi neighborhood. We're gonna see all the alleyways here. They're called something very similar, like this one right here, Dongsi Sitiao. So that's the fourth alleyway. And everywhere, all these alleyways should have traditional Beijing neighborhoods. So let's try this one for now. So one thing you're gonna find when you're walking through these neighborhoods is that they aren't built up like you find in, again, Guangdong, for example. In Guangdong, you have lots of concrete, basically square towers, not towers, but 5, 6, 7 story buildings, just perfectly square. And these rise up and they're really, really dense. And that's why they're called handshake buildings, if you remember, because people can just reach out their window and shake each other's hand. But here's obviously very different. You have these very long alleyways, and the buildings, they're mostly, 1 story high. There are a few that go up a little bit higher, but they're all basically, the outside is basically a wall, almost like a great wall, you could say. And then after that, you've got inside, you've got a courtyard, and you've got the housing inside the courtyard. So it's just similar to this. So most of these hutongs you're gonna find, they go east to west, and then you have these small alleyways that go north to south, like this one. But the main roads go east to west, and the main entryways are on the south side. They're facing the south, so they can get the sun, more sun. And most of the through traffic goes east to west. The north to south is just kind of to get yourself through these alleyways, through the neighborhood easier, but not for through traffic necessarily. It's going to be quite difficult to drive on these roads, even in the main thoroughfares up here, quite narrow. And also not usually tons of parking in the hutongs. Some people have their own parking spot. There's a taxi right there. Look how narrow that is. So it's very difficult to have a car. That means lots of e-bikes, electric bikes, and like scooters. And also you get lots of bicycles, and of course share bikes as well. We'll take a look at. And then you also find in a lot of these Beijing hutongs, I love it because they put these, they usually cover their tires with pieces of wood or something like that. And that's supposedly so dogs don't piss on them. I mean, I guess they piss on the wood instead. So here we go. This is a share bike. Of course, anybody can come and scan that bike, and then they can ride it wherever they want for 1 or 2 kwai. I mean, it depends on how long you drive it for. Here's another one. But I think, they usually start with 1.5 RMB to start for the first 10 minutes. And then after that, pay by the, usually blocks of like 10 minutes or so. I don't know. I don't usually ride in a share bike for more than 10 minutes. Usually it's like a last mile thing. Like you get off the subway and you ride the bike a little bit to your destination, not taking it for 30 minutes somewhere. So I don't really know the full cost involved. You got these lovely gates, lovely doors here. Beautiful trees. Big, probably pretty ancient trees. Pretty old. Just extremely, extremely quiet neighborhoods, for a city of 20 million people, something like that, in Beijing. You go out into the main roads, it's not like this. These are very peaceful places, serene places for mostly old people to live. But some of them have been renovated, turned into more modern units, and are kind of trendy and cool too. So here we go, another small north-south alleyway. You have these trestles over here growing, I don't know, probably growing cucumbers or something. Or gourds, are these real? No. I don't know. I'm not much of a farmer, guys, but they're probably growing something up there. So right here inside the Hutong, you even got a community service center. So you can come here and get a lot of your questions answered, your needs met. Yeah, I mean, I can't go in there now and check, but usually these kind of service centers, they'll just point you in the right direction. At least from my experience. Probably if you're Chinese and you know what you're doing, you can know exactly what kind of service you can get done in there. But for me, yeah, it's just somewhere to ask a question or two. And more trestles and green spaces and vines. Beautiful. So this sign here says, dog walking is pretty fun, but cleaning is your responsibility. So I don't know if I should point it out or not, but a lot of these people, they might not have toilets in their actual houses. These are lots of really old units. Some of them do, some of them don't. And you might see quite a few people with buckets, and they come out here in the morning and they dump out their pee down the drain. It's an old way of life. Where are we now? Another thing that's great about China here is that, you know, you have lots of little kids, not too little here, but pretty little, young kids walking themselves to school, riding their bikes to school. You know, just like a lot of places, I would say, like in Europe or in Japan. It's just the only place I feel like it doesn't really happen anymore is America. America, you got to drive your kid to school in your big SUV. And if you let your kid who's like 10 years old or 12 years old go to school by themselves, they'll probably be arrested for child neglect. It's pretty terrible. A beautiful cafe. Over here we have a recycling lady. People collect cardboard, collect plastics, they recycle them. They usually drive around on their sandungcha, the three-wheel bike, their tricycle with the flatbed in the back, and they collect all of their recycling and sell them. So here's another sign. This one tells you don't bring your electric bike battery into the house. Keep it outside because you don't want to start a fire, kill a bunch of people. It says, look, in 100 seconds, it's going to be 1,000 degrees Celsius. Just like I said before, they put these here so the dogs and stuff don't piss on them. The dogs piss on these things instead. I guess if you get enough piss on your car tire, it will degrade the tire, I would assume. Otherwise, I don't really know why it matters. I guess it makes your car stinky, but so of course there are a lot of elderly people here. in the Hutongs. These are old houses that have been in people's families for generations. People living in a kind of older way of life as well, which means there's also an elderly care clinic and services right here. So, right.
Morning.
Good morning. Right where people need it. You know, I talked about 15-minute cities before on my channel as well, and people are mad about the idea, but look, you have your services even for the elderly people right here in the heart of the neighborhood. That's how things should be. Just walk there, get the help you need. Just like earlier, I showed you the service center for the community. All the stuff's just right here. And here you have public toilet, because like I said, a lot of people maybe not have modern plumbing in their house, modern toilets, and there are lots of public restrooms in the Hutongs as well. But you know, because people don't want to walk out at night to go to use the restroom through the neighborhood, that's why they have the buckets. They just like pee in the house in the bucket and then come dump it down the drain later. So we just emerged from the Hutong, the alleyway right here. And right here on this corner is a grocery and household sundries. Lots of stuff in there you can get. But we're gonna keep going. We're gonna look for local Beijing breakfast. That's what I really want. And you'll notice now, as soon as we emerge from the alleyway as well, you've got a lot more activity, a lot more traffic, and you've even got cars driving around, beeping their horns. It's much louder here than inside the Hutong. So now we are here at Dongsi Hutongs, the 8th alleyway, and we have another public toilet. They are everywhere. You know, whenever I talk about stuff in China and compare it to America, people get mad. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that some of these public toilets are beautiful and clean and great. They try to take care of them, of course, and they are better than they used to be. They are somewhat nasty sometimes, but at least there are public toilets everywhere in China, all over the place, especially in neighborhoods like this where people need them, but really everywhere in China. And then, you know, I can go to America and there's really no public toilets. When you go to one, like I went to, I think it was Venice Beach last time, holy mackerel, so disgusting. It was like a prison toilet, just like a stainless steel, no toilet seat lid, just piss everywhere, disgusting. People, maybe online or maybe in real life, I don't know, but people, they love to get mad at like homeless people, people in San Francisco for pooping on the street, peeing in public. But you know what? It's kind of crazy. I feel like if you don't want people to poop and pee on the street, you give them a place to live, or at the very least, give them public restrooms that are everywhere, that are clean, that are safe. But what do I know? I'm no public policy guy. So I guess the real crux of the matter is neighborhoods like this in China, they're safe, relatively clean. They have public services. They have pretty much everything you need within a very walkable, easy community. You don't have to have a car. In fact, having a car can be kind of a burden. Everything you have is here. Everything you need is here. And then we don't have these kinds of communities in the States, which is really, I mean, I'm not gonna say there aren't any, but for the most part, we live in communities that require cars. We live in communities where you cannot just walk to have your daily needs met. We live in communities that aren't safe. So I'm not saying that like America's the worst and China's the best or anything, but I do think that what America could learn from China is to actually provide for the basic needs of people, like public restrooms, like clean communities, like public transit, like all that stuff I just talked about, and then start providing for the extra stuff that we, you know, a McDonald's on every corner, things like that that we appreciate in America, that we know and love. But do the basics first. That's my 2 cents. But I guess that doesn't make money for people. So here in the Hutong Liman, they even have gym equipment, outdoor equipment, exercise equipment, mostly for old people, but anybody can use it. Old people love this stuff though. And this is the kind of car that's perfect for a Hutong, right? Or for a city. This is the kind of cars that we need in America as well. In the cities, smart cars, little neighborhood electric cars, things like that. You can just park it anywhere, doesn't take up too much space, perfect for one person or a small family. You're not driving a big old honking truck or SUV when you're just one person. China loves small neighborhood electric vehicles, and I do too. So this is inside of a Hutong, inside of the courtyard. Got lots of houses, different units back here. I don't want to go too much back there and invade people's privacy. But yeah, here's the main entrance from the street, from the alleyway. Yet another public restroom. Like I said, they're everywhere, they're ubiquitous. And that's because, again, a lot of people don't have restrooms in their house. And I know people are gonna go in the comments and say, yes, they do, China's developed. Because people like to get up in arms and mad about everything. But it is true. You also have lots of workers here, keeping the streets clean all the time. Sanitation workers. Okay, this about comes to the end of our little tour of some Beijing alleyways and Hutongs. Just a quick little casual walk around. Hope it was at least beautiful. If it was boring what I said, I hope you had the courage to turn me off and just listen to some music. Now, here back on a main street, I'm gonna find some breakfast. Man, immediately you get that hit of the sound, the cars, the traffic, the people. Literally don't hear any of it in the Hutong. It's so peaceful and quiet back there. So I don't know how I'm going to use this video right now, if I even will at all. But I just want to show you Beijing when it's good. Because Beijing is a city, at least in my opinion, the city in China that I probably hate the most when it's winter or when it's polluted or just when it's like bad. The traffic is bad, the air is bad, the sky is brown, the trees are brown. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrific. Even though there's lots of good things about Beijing, lots of really cool historical sites to see, museums, architecture, parks, tons of great stuff. But when you're here and it's just like a brown blob, it's a very depressing place. However, when it looks like this and you're just walking through Beijing, you have this beautiful open spaces everywhere you go, lots of like boulevards, walking places. I'm not gonna claim Beijing is the best, most walkable city, anything like that. But there are lots of good places to walk around in Beijing. And now, I gotta say, on a day like today, not too hot, a little bit hot, but not too hot. Blue skies, river, outdoor dining, al fresco. This is the Beijing that I could live in, the Beijing that I could love. But I gotta say, it is not typically like this. Probably like out of every time I've been in Beijing, probably at this point is 20 or 30 times, and probably months of my life because I did work here for a time too. These kinds of days are very few and far between, but when they occur, god dang, Beijing's wonderful.